Hello, my name is Kelly Caldwell, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the Netlabs system at Stanley Community College. The Netlabs system is used to teach both our instructor and student classes within the Networking Academy. Inside of Netlabs, you're able to do all the labs that you would be able to complete in the classroom in an online environment. To begin this process, you will need to navigate in your browser to netlabs.stanley.edu and then log in with the user account name and password that were provided to you by your instructor. Once you log in, you'll see that there are a couple items across the bottom here that you need to pay attention to. The scheduler, which I will talk to you about in detail, file manager, profile, curriculum, and chat beta. To begin with, the very first thing I want you to do once you log in is click on profile and ensure that the terminal version for the terminal application and the remote viewer are set to version 2. If for some reason they're not, they're on version 1, you can click on the wrench and you can go in and change it to version 2. This solves some of the compatibility problems we've been seeing between different browser versions and Netlabs. So that's the very first thing you want to do. Then what you want to do is you want to schedule you some time to complete labs. When I click on scheduler with my student account, you'll notice I'm in a multitude of classes. That's because I use this to test different classes. You'll probably only see 1 or 2 classes in your particular schedule. I'm going to click on the Expiration 1 instructor course that says summer. You'll notice that there are 2 options. One is reserve lab time for yourself and the other is reserve lab time for your team. Now, if your lab is set up or your instructor sets up your class so that you can do team labs, it's possible to log into Netlabs with multiple members of your online class and complete labs together. If you're doing that, I do suggest that you open up, while you're in here, the chat beta, so that you will actually have a chat window that will show you all the other students who are available in this community, which will be your other classmates, so you can chat. Or maybe open up Skype and Skype your classmates, one of the 2. So I'll go back to the scheduler and I'm going to select my class. I'm going to reserve lab time for myself. When I do that, you'll notice that it brings up a listing of all the possible labs for Expiration 1. There are only a couple labs throughout all the Cisco courses that you cannot do in Netlabs. So for the student that's online and the student seated, you have the same experience, which is what we really strive for here at Stanley Community College. I'm going to begin by creating a reservation for Lab 161, which is the very first lab in Expiration. I click on it. You'll notice that there are 3 Network Fundamentals pods that are available. Those 3 pods support all the Expiration 1 labs. Expiration 2, 3, and 4, we actually have 4 MAP pods, multi-purpose access pods, which allow you to do the labs for 2, 3, and 4. Now, to create a reservation, the beauty of this system is, let's say that I have some time on Bastille Day, July 14th. I can click on the 14th and make a reservation for 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Usually, depending on how the instructor has set up the class, the maximum time allowed for a single reservation is 4 hours. I typically tell students for Expiration 1 labs to do 2 hours for each lab. That's the easiest thing to do. The beauty of it is you can also do back-to-back reservations, but if you start doing large blocks at a time, we do tend to get some use problems. You know, if students hogging a lab, we'll have to say, okay, give some time between your reservations so other students can get time. But typically there's plenty of space on our systems and you're able to get the reservations you want. Now you'll notice that on Saturday, July 14th, from 3 to 7, I have a reservation for Lab 161, because that's the lab I chose to do. Has a lab ID number, and what will change here is on the 14th at 3 o'clock there'll be an Enter Now button, and I'll show you that in a second when I do a reservation for right now. The other item that's interesting is there's an ID here. If you find that you are not going to be able to complete your lab on July 14th, let's say something comes up, you got a big bike ride, you're going to be gone all day, please go in and click on that reservation ID and click Cancel Reservation. This way you're freeing up the lab for other students to use. So if you make a reservation, try to use it. Now I know there are going to be times when reservations are made and you don't make your reservation. That's fine. Realize though we do have the labs usually sending us the configs from the completed reservation. So we see when work's being done and when it's not. This gives us an idea of who needs help, who doesn't. It also allows us to grade labs so we can see exactly what you completed. I'm going to go back to Scheduler and I'm going to go to my Instructor 1 class again. I'm going to reserve lab time just for myself for Lab 161. And I'm going to actually schedule that for right now. Okay, and I'm going to schedule it from now until, let's just say, 5 o'clock. Click OK, click I'm done. Now you'll notice the difference is I have an Enter Lab button. That's very important because it allows me to go into the lab right now, and when I click on it, you'll see it says Starting Equipment. Now, this particular pod, the Network Fundamentals pod, takes between 4 and 6 minutes to boot up. Our other pods, our map pods, are much quicker. Usually in 2 to 3 minutes you're in the pod and it's ready to go. Just be aware that when you actually create this reservation, it's going to take a couple minutes for the Network Fundamentals pod to boot. I'm going to pause the video until the pod gets completely booted and initialized. Then I will come in and show you the pod itself. Okay, after about a 5-minute wait, the pod is completely up and running. You'll notice that this pod consists of an Eagle server, which is going to be the server that houses the different services you're trying to get to, email, there's a wiki, other things that are used during Exploration 1. You can click on the PC. When you do so, it'll pop up the PC itself. The passwords are either blank or the actual word password. This one is blank. Click on OK, and we have the PC running. And you see now this is a fully functional Windows PC. It has all the different items that you would need or want. You also have the ability to go in here and you can put in, this is actually the Eagle server, eagleserver.example.com, and we'll probably go ahead and do an IP config and renew so that we can get an IP address. Oops. Helps when you click on the right thing. And we've got an IP address now, so we're going to hit example.com, and we're now on the Eagle server. Now, one of the great things about the Netlabs system, you do have your lab manual, your lab book, which you should have for each class. But in the Netlabs system itself, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see where it says Show Lab Content. If you click there, you will see a PDF of the lab that you have created, or not created, the lab that you have created the reservation for. In this particular lab, we see that we're supposed to go to a site called ftp.eagle-server.example.com. We're going to download game. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go in. Make sure you go back into the PC, okay, that you have available. You can't paste it, but you can actually go to, instead of HTTP, here's what I normally do. I just do FTP, and it takes you to the pub folder. Allows you to go to Eagle Labs, Eagle 1, Chapter 1, and there is game, and you could go in and start downloading game. Save it to your desktop, and it will download. Okay, so this is the kind of setup that we have for our labs. It gives you the ability to do the labs as if you're sitting in the classroom. Now, again, if you happen to be working on PC2, you just click on PC2, click OK, you'll log in. You'll notice they are actually labeled. We do not create PC3A and 3B. We do PC2 and PC2B. So if you happen to be using those, or if there is a problem with one of those PCs, you can move to a different PC. But for the most part, the labs work as advertised in the lab manual, and any changes that are there, you'll see when you do the show lab content. Once you've completed a lab, one of the things we ask you to do is go ahead and click I'm done. What that does is it shuts down all the equipment. It scrubs the machines to make sure all the PCs are reverted to a snapshot. Anything you've done to them will be removed. It makes sure that the routers that support the back end of this, there's 2 routers and a switch for this particular lab, they are erased and prepared for the next person to use them. So I'm going to click on I'm done, and my reservation will be complete, and you will notice that I no longer have reservations. So again, to review, make sure you go in your profile, make sure your terminal application is set to version 2 and your PC viewer is set to version 2. Make sure that you click on the scheduler and click your class, and that will be where you set up your particular reservations. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much.